Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So you guys remember the team that I went 5-0 with at the end of my Legend push video, and it got me to Legend? Well, it turns out that that team is actually a lot better than I thought it was, and I kept using it. I've been using it over the past 3 days, and I climbed around 180 points with it. I am currently on Leaderboards. And unfortunately, I don't have all the battles recorded, making it to 3,195 ELO. However, I do have some of the battles recorded before that, and that is what we are going to go over today. This is a very solid team. I'm not sure how it would perform in lower ranks, because in lower ranks, the meta might be a little bit different. But if you are, I would say around 2,700 ELO and above, then this team should work really well for you guys based on the meta I was seeing. Drifblim in the back is really solid at the moment. A lot of people are running Toxapex, Diggersby, Clodsire, Marowak in the back, so Drifblim will perform really well against all of those Pokemon. Now, out of 30 games, I won 25, which is kind of insane. I had a really good win rate with this team, and that's why I decided to make a dedicated video for it. So if you guys decide to use this team, I really hope you find success with it. If you are in a lower rank, I have a strategy for you guys for climbing. I don't think this team would work in really low ranks. I think more people are using ice types in lower ranks. So what I would recommend is to climb up until 2,700, I would say. Use an ice double water team, so like Alolan Sandslash lead with Azu and Quagsire in the back. I say Azu and Quagsire and not Feraligatr because Feraligatr might be a little bit weak to Pangoro, and your lead is weak to Pangoro, so if you go up against a Pangoro with that team, you are going to struggle. So that's why I would recommend Shadow Alolan Sandslash on the lead running Powder Snow with Azu on the safe swap and a Shadow Quagsire in the back. You could also try a water double poison strategy. I feel like that could be a very safe choice. So like an Azu lead with a Shadow Drapion on the safe swap and then maybe a Clodsire in the back. That could be a really solid team for you guys. And I feel like it's also a very simple strategy. Very easy to run. You just, whatever you lose lead to, you swap into that Drapion, and then hopefully you draw out whatever your backline is going to be weak to with Drapion. And of course, I have to remind you guys all that it is extremely important to know your matchups, to know how many fast moves it takes to reach each charged move, and to have really good move timing. If you master all of those technical little things, then you should be on a good track to reach Legend. Now, like a lot of you, I do believe that there is a matchmaking system in place where if you go really positive for several games in a row, then it will start giving you some matches that are going to be very difficult for you to win. It will give you some really hard counters, and in those situations, you can't really do anything. However, having all of those little techniques mastered, then sometimes you can flip an unfavorable matchup in your favor just by outplaying your opponent. So definitely do not give up. Do not let, when you feel the game is rigged against you, don't let that let you down. Just keep trying, trust me. If you play more, you will get used to playing the game and you will eventually reach the goal that you are aiming for. All right, that's enough pep talk. You guys are here to see some leaderboard battles, so let's jump into the matches. In this game, we are up against a Dunsparce on the lead, and this team will struggle against Dunsparce, especially in the back. So I kind of have to stay in it with my own Dunsparce. Now my opponent swaps out into Azu, and I bring in Jumpluff. Of course, I have to watch out for that Ice Beam, which is quadruple super effective against my Jumpluff, so I have to shield up. I'm going to go for an Energy Ball here. I did manage to take a shield from my opponent with the first Energy Ball, but they end up double shielding their Azu. So I'm going to double shield as well. I know that I can take a Rock Slide from their Dunsparce. It's not going to hurt as much as Ice Beam. So we managed to land an Energy Ball, and then I catch the next Ice Beam on my Dunsparce. I didn't realize that I had energy. I wasn't keeping track of it, but I could have gone for a move from my Dunsparce and CMP tied with the opponent, and then I would have won CMP over Azu. I would have been able to take the Azu out before they take my Dunsparce out. But it's okay because saving the Jumpluff was actually the play because my opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Feraligatr. They have no shields left. I'm able to land an Energy Ball. It one-shots, and then my opponent is going to go ahead and top left because I was going to be able to farm them down with the Astonishes from my Drifblim. Moving on to the next battle, we are up against a Venusaur on the lead, and I have two Pokemon that are going to be very good against Venusaur in the back. So in this case, I use my Drifblim as a safe swap, but in this case, I use Jumpluff because Drifblim is technically the harder answer to Venusaur. So I bring out Jumpluff, and I'm really glad I brought Jumpluff out instead of Drifblim because my opponent has a Dunsparce in the back. At least against this Dunsparce, I'm going to be able to hit it for a lot of damage, and I'm actually able to take it out. I just invest one shield. My opponent also has to invest a shield, and I make it to an Energy Ball against my opponent's final Pokemon, which is going to be Azu. Now I have my Dunsparce aligned to their Azu, and I have Drifblim aligned to Venusaur, and Drifblim is absolutely going to wall Venusaur. The Frenzy Plants are going to hurt. I think they can take us out with two Frenzy Plants, but I go ahead and shield the first one. The second one is going to do less damage because we debuff them, and we take their final shield. However, my opponent is still able to reach two Frenzy Plants, and even debuffed, it's enough to take Drifblim out. Frenzy Plant does a crazy amount of damage, but it's fine because they were in farm down range for our Dunsparce. They also have no shields left, and their Azu is pretty low, so here I should be able to farm their Azu down. I will survive this next play rough, and I'll be able to throw a move on the Venusaur as soon as it comes in. This will take the Venusaur out, and we are going to take another win there, and that, I believe, is the last game in that set. Yep, we get a 4-1. It's also the Pikachu Libre set. We don't get a shiny, but I already have one, and we managed to get a Pikachu Libre that has good PvP IVs for Little Cup, which I'm happy with. I was playing this set during Go Battle Day. That's why I got lower IV floors. But still, we managed to climb a lot in that set. I was really surprised. After going 5-0 with the team, I got a 4-1. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against an Azu on the lead, which is not a great lead for us. Azu can destroy us here, but I'm going to try to damage it as much as I can. Oh wait, I just go for a Drill Run and then I swap into my Jumpluff. Okay, I'm gonna have to shield here because it's Ice Beam. And since they're staying in, I would assume they don't have a very solid answer for Jumpluff. They bring in a Guzzlord, which is not an answer for Jumpluff, but I'm so glad that I drew this out because now that means my Drifblim is not going to be up against this Guzzlord. I'm gonna go for an Aerial Ace here. We take both of my opponent's shields, and we're able to land another Aerial Ace, and let's see what happens here. I'm just gonna let Jumpluff go. It did a good job taking care of this, and then I'm gonna bring in Drifblim. I'm actually able to farm Guzzlord down with Drifblim. My opponent has no shields left, and they go ahead and top left. Whatever they had in the back, it was probably gonna be weak to Drifblim, or Drifblim with energy and them having no shields would have meant that I was going to be able to take that win. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against a Feraligatr on the lead, and Dunsparce should do okay against this because the fast move is resisted. I can only take one Hydro Cannon. I can't take two. Now my opponent manages to catch the Drill Run on a Mandibuzz, which is really annoying. I think I lose this. Yeah, I played this really badly. I should have waited to see if my opponent was going to catch. Their Mandibuzz is running Air Slash as well, so that's not going to be good for my Jumpluff. And I can't bring my Drifblim into this because it will get destroyed. So I'm just hoping that my Jumpluff can do enough damage to take this Mandibuzz out. I know I'm not going to be able to take it out completely, but I don't want to invest any shields. Hopefully, with two shields, my Drifblim can kind of take this. They bring Feraligatr back in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and shield the Hydro Cannon here. It will be enough to take us out. And I make it to an Icy Wind. Now my opponent shields. Okay, their backline might be weak to my Drifblim. I might be okay here. Their final Pokemon is a Clodsire. I'm going to go for that Icy Wind immediately, hoping that they're not running Stone Edge. Someone was running Stone Edge yesterday and I let it go on my Drifblim, which was devastating, but they are running Sludge Bomb. I'm not able to make it to another Icy Wind though. Do I still have a chance? No, I don't have any Pokemon left, right. So I do end up losing that to a Clodsire in the back. Unfortunate for me, but that Mandibuzz was really difficult to deal with, especially since they caught the Drill Run. If I had just gone for a Rock Slide, then maybe. But yeah, tough game. GG's to my opponent. Anyways, moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against a Dunsparce on the lead, and hopefully if I get the Dunsparce out of the way, then my opponent will not have another Anti-Flyer in the back. They actually swap out into a Shadow Marowak, and I go ahead and shield the Rock Slide here. I know that the Rock Slide from Dunsparce is going to hurt a lot less, so if I could just shield one from the Marowak, then I can still do a lot of damage with my Jumpluff to their Dunsparce. But my opponent goes ahead and double shields Marowak, and then they swap into Dunsparce and snipe my Jumpluff. I'm okay with this because my Drifblim is still healthy in the back, and my opponent might be running double Mudslap. If they are, then Drifblim is really going to destroy my opponent's backline. I bring in Drifblim, and I shield here because I lose track of how much energy my opponent has. I don't think they had enough for a Rock Slide. Oh, but their final Pokemon is a Jumpluff. I believe this Icy Wind is going to one-shot. Yep. Oh, almost. We do one more Astonish, take them out, and then I have an Icy Wind ready to go for that Marowak. It is going to be enough to take the Marowak out, and we managed to win that game. An entire backline that is weak to Drifblim. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against a Galarian Moltres on the lead, and this time I actually watched for the catch. I had a feeling they might try to catch the Rock Slide. They swap into a Clodsire. Hopefully it's not running Stone Edge again. I'm not going to shield the first move. It is Sludge Bomb, but this thing just needs 3 Sludge Bombs to take us out, so I can take a second one, but I don't think I'll be able to take a third, so I'm going to go for the Icy Wind here. I farmed up as much as I can. That way I can reach an Icy Wind on the Moltres as well, but they are going to go ahead and shield. Okay, I'm going to bring in Dunsparce. Again, my opponent tries to catch the Rock Slide on one of their back Pokemon. This time it's a Gastrodon, and as soon as they see my Jumpluff, my opponent goes ahead and top left. You guys can see why this team ended up working really well for me. A lot of the backlines are going to be weak to Drifblim, and I was getting really lucky with the matchups I was getting. But anyways, moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against a Clodsire on the lead, and I would not say this is a good lead for me because all my opponent has to do is land 2 Earthquakes, and I am expecting that they are going to have an answer to Drifblim in the back. I let my Dunsparce go because I don't want to use any shields, and then I come in with my Drifblim and I farm them down completely. Now I'm going to have so much energy for this Feraligatr. I bait with an Icy Wind and take a shield from them, and then I bring in Jumpluff. Now I go ahead and shield expecting an Ice Beam, but my opponent baits with a Hydro Cannon. I'm going to go for an Energy Ball and take my opponent's final shield. And my opponent should be in Aerial Ace range now, so I can go for an Aerial Ace before they can reach an Ice Beam. I safely shield up the Hydro Cannon. It was the safer move in case they went for an Ice Beam. And their final Pokemon is a Chestnut, which my Jumpluff was absolutely going to destroy. So another backline that my backline is really going to do really well against. And that is going to be another 4-1. I did not think I would climb higher than this, which is why you see me take the screenshot. But to my surprise, we get 3 more positive sets after this. I just have 2 more to show you guys because like I said, after I got the first few and I recorded them, I was like, okay, I have enough content. I didn't think I would climb more. But anyways, moving on to the next battle, we get a lead that's not great for us. We get a Gastrodon, I swap into Drifblim, and I draw out an Alolan Sandslash. It is running Powder Snow. Even if it was running Shadow Claw, both would be super effective against Drifblim. And it looks like my opponent is running a double Ice backline. This is one of those teams where you just gotta top left. I cannot win this. I don't know why I'm staying in here. Maybe I was like, oh, maybe if my opponent lets the Energy Ball, I might have a chance. No, I do not have a chance here. Yep. I'm gonna go ahead and top left, and my opponent is going to win that. So that is one of those teams that you just cannot do anything against. In the next battle, we're gonna get a Guzzlord lead, which is not a great lead for us, but at least it's not aligned to my Drifblim. I kind of have to stay in this because I cannot get Drifblim aligned to this Pokemon. They are running Crunch as well, and they get a defense drop on my Dunsparce. I am going to go for another Drill Run. They let it go. And then I swap into Jumpluff, and they stay in and go for a Dragon Claw. And I don't think I should have swapped. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But now they have Talonflame aligned to my Jumpluff, which is not great. I'm able to go for 2 Aerial Aces, and at least I can take a shield from them. But my opponent's final Pokemon is going to be Gastrodon. Okay, I might have a chance here if my opponent is not running Water Pulse, because I cannot shield. I need the shields for the Talonflame. Luckily for me, they're running Earth Power, and because of that, I'm able to farm them down completely with my Drifblim and have so much energy for this Talonflame. I know that I'm not going to be able to farm them down. I think they will be able to reach a 3rd fly, so they take both of my final shields, and I should be able to make it to 2 Icy Winds, one to take my opponent's final shield, and the second one is going to land before my opponent can make it to another charged move, and we are going to take the win there. GG's to our opponent. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against Softoph, and she is leading a Malamar, which is not a great lead for me. I'm kind of ABA weak to this, especially if she's able to land Superpower on my Dunsparce. So I think I shield here. Yeah, it is a Superpower. At least we called that correctly. I'm going to be able to go for another Drill Run and get a shield from her, and then I swap out into Jumpluff. Okay. Double Dark is a little bit tough for my team, especially if those dark types are Malamar and Drapion. But I swap out into Jumpluff, and we draw the Drapion out. I'm going to go for these Aerial Aces. We managed to take her final shield, and now I'm just going to let Jumpluff go. This is still going to get really tricky because they are going to be able to land a Crunch on our Dunsparce, and I don't want to use my final shield. I'm hoping that Drifblim will be able to take care of whatever she has in the back. Oh, but she catches the Drill Run on Azu. Okay, this is where I basically lost the game. Really nice catch there. The Azu is going to go for an Ice Beam, which I have to shield up. And then I'm going to farm up to basically max energy and CMP tie on the Ice Beam. Go for a Shadow Ball, take Azu out, and then when they bring Drapion back in, I have to go for that Icy Wind immediately to take it out. But that also means that she is going to be able to reach a Foul Play on Malamar, take Drifblim out, and then my Dunsparce is not healthy enough to live those Psy Waves. So GG's to my opponent, she is going to take the win there. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against a Gastrodon on the lead. Again, I swap into Drifblim, and I draw out an Ice type. I'm just really hoping that this isn't another double Ice team. Otherwise, Jumpluff is really going to suffer in the back. Now, I am able to take a shield from my opponent, which is good. And then I'm going to go for a Rock Slide here, which is not going to be enough to take this Dugong out, but I should be able to roll out it down. I have to take another Icy Wind, unfortunately. And then I'm going to swap immediately into my Jumpluff when they bring Gastrodon back in. Okay, my opponent's final Pokemon is a Shadow Drapion, and Jumpluff doesn't do too bad against Shadow Drapion as long as it's not running Sludge Bomb. I should be able to take this out with 2 Aerial Aces. I'm going to go ahead and shield the next move. Unfortunately, we get the defense drop, really annoying. And then my opponent swaps back out into Gastrodon. Now, I don't want them to land a Body Slam on a defense dropped Jumpluff, so I go for the Energy Ball immediately. And then I forget that I have a move ready on my Dunsparce, so instead of swapping into Dunsparce and going for that Drill Run immediately, I bring it in, but at least they end up throwing their energy, and that way I am able to reach another Aerial Ace on Jumpluff, take the Drapion out, and we're able to take the win there. Thank goodness that was not another double Ice backline, otherwise I would have lost that, and that is going to be another positive set, but it is a 3-2. Moving on to the final set I have recorded for you guys, I just remembered why I started running this team. In my final push for Legend, I ran into so many people running Ariados, and so I kind of just put a bunch of Pokemon that were going to be so good against Ariados, and unfortunately for my opponent, we completely hard counter them, and they go ahead and top left. But in the next battle, we end up playing so poorly because my opponent leads Arctibax, and then when I go for the Rock Slide, they manage to catch it on a Diggersby. And you know what they have in the back? They have a Toxapex. So they draw the Drifblim out with Diggersby. Now that the Drifblim is out of the way, their Toxapex is absolutely going to destroy my backline, my Jumpluff at least. So I'm gonna bring the Dunsparce back in here against Arctibax, and I'm really not, at this point, I'm not calling what their backline is. I still have no idea what it could be. I was really hoping it would be another ground type, but I'm gonna bring in Jumpluff here, and I have to shield up the Avalanche. It will one-shot. They bring the Diggersby back in. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna let the Fire Punch go, and then I am gonna go for an Energy Ball because I don't think the Aerial Ace would have been enough to take this out. And then there it is, a shiny Toxapex in the back. At this point, I can't do anything against it. They didn't even need to bring in Diggersby and go for a Fire Punch. They could have just brought this in. But yeah, we're not going to be able to take this out. Dunsparce is not healthy enough to reach another move, so I'm just going to go ahead and top left. Moving on to the next battle. I really like how I played this game. I made all the right calls. So remember, in a lot of cases, my opponents were able to catch a move from my Dunsparce. I waited this time. I didn't let them catch. My opponent tried to go for a catch on Azu, and then I swap into Jumpluff. I still have all that energy saved up for their Feraligatr, and I'm going to start going for these energy balls up against this Azu. Unfortunately, I do have to double shield my Jumpluff here, so I'm going to go ahead and use both of my shields. Go for another energy ball here. If they let it go, they will be in Aerial Ace range, so I just have to go for an Aerial Ace here, and we managed to get the Azu out of the way. Okay, this is good. I build up to an Energy Ball here against their Feraligatr, but I'm gonna bait with an Aerial Ace, expecting my opponent to shield, and then I try to swap out immediately into my Dunsparce and go for a Drill Run, but I guess my opponent calls this because they swapped super quickly into a Ferrothorn in the back. Okay. This Ferrothorn will be able to reach a Thunder, unfortunately, against my Drifblim, but I have to go for a full farm down here because I need to have a move for their Feraligatr. Now, I know they're not in Icy Wind range, so I swap back out into my Jumpluff, and my opponent is going to have to be forced to throw an Ice Beam here. I don't think a Hydro Cannon would have taken us out, but I'm able to reach an Aerial Ace, and that puts them in Icy Wind range. I can then go for an Icy Wind immediately when I bring my Drifblim back in. I know they don't have enough energy for a move, otherwise they would have won CMP. And we managed to win that. Again, another game that I'm really happy with how I played there. Guys, we have reached the final battle of the video, and this is probably one of the best games in this video because Jumpluff is basically going to solo this entire players team. It's gonna get super crazy. But I am going to go ahead and sign off here and leave you with this final battle. We end up with another 4-1, making it to the 3,150s. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like. It helps me out so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.